Garden, Nashville Rose Society, and the Nashville Music Garden Fund at the Community Foundation of Middle Tennessee.
Coming up on Volunteer Gardener, we'll learn from a plant lover and gardener how this yard has gone from a blank palette to a lush landscape in just a few years. And we'll head down to Long Hungry Creek Farm to find out how effective hoeing can lead to greater yields. Join us. First, picture perfect, year-round.
It's a daunting thing to come to somebody's front yard in the dog days of summer. We're in Franklin, Tennessee, and I'm visiting with Barbara Gregg. And Barbara, I'm amazed that this garden is only 4 years old and that you wanted to downsize when you moved here.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, I had a lot of flower beds where we lived before. And so I said, I'm not planting another flower at this house. But obviously, I did. I've just gone from the roses and the trim around here and just worked my way around.
Well, we're going to share with everybody the palette of plants and the magnitude and massiveness of the colors that you have chosen. You don't stick to one color, which I'm impressed with because you like everything.
Yes, I do. I like the colors.
Barbara, you were talking about roses. Tell me about these. These are absolutely gorgeous.
These are knockouts, and they have done beautifully in this area. They're about 3.5 years old, and we have to cut them back frequently, or they would be as tall as the crepe myrtles.
Now I'm confused. Are you deadheading these knockouts?
Yes, I am.
And you just can't stand the untidiness of it?
That's correct. I hate it when it's messy. And I see some here and there right now, and if I had my scissors, I would be cutting them.
And tell me about your favorite annual down here.
Well, this is so easy to grow. And you'll notice that I have it in a couple places in the yard. And it's lovely in bouquets. And it'll last in the water. And this is a knockout, yellow knockout.
It's beautiful.
And I had a hard time finding that, and I really love it.
And I also wanted to mention your hydrangeas. I know they're not being very showy for us today because it's in between their blooms, but I wish they could have seen it earlier this spring when it was hundreds and hundreds of flower heads.
It was magnificent. And it's so much fun because I go, okay, I want this bush to be blue or pink, and I leave it. If I decide it's going to be pink, I use Miracle-Gro on it. If I decide this one's going to be blue, I use an acid like Muracid or another acid that I use, and I stagger them along the way. And sometimes as a gardener, you're not as steady as you think, and so you don't get it evenly around. So on my blue bushes, sometimes it goes from a deep blue down to maybe even a purple, down to a soft shade. So I have multicolors on the same bush, and I love it.
For being in a subdivision, you offer all your neighbors a great bonus, don't you?
Well, I hope they think it's a bonus. I take vases early in the morning, before some of them are up, and leave them on their doorstep. And they know that if they return the vase, they'll get another bouquet as they return the vase. And so it's selfish on my part as well, because the more you cut, the more blooms you get.
I understand these are very pampered crepe myrtles. Why are they tied up? And let's share the story with them.
Okay. About 2 years ago, my crepe myrtles were sprayed, and they were blooming like this profusely and lovely, and I happen to really love crepe myrtles. And after they sprayed, they all turned black. I decided that the man who helps me in the yard, and we cut them off down here, so they were just stumps. And they have come back magnificently in the past 2 years. And so for anyone who has a problem with the crepe myrtles, don't be afraid to cut back, because you'll see them in the yard and they're doing beautifully. And we have them tied up just to help support.
Well, that's good to know. That's interesting. Well, we've seen pink, and we've seen blue, and we've seen yellow in shrubs. Now we are standing next to a beautiful crabapple, which gives you fall color, spring color.
Oh, yes.
And then I also noticed that you've got annuals interspersed, and you don't like annuals, but you do like annuals.
I really would like to make it all a perennial bed, but then I don't have the mixture of color. And this year it's been really hard.
Well, your zinnias look like they're on steroids there.
They think they are.
And I noticed you got a banana tree. You bring that in every year?
Yes. And this year when we brought it out, it was already up to the garage ceiling, and I thought it was going to go straight through the roof up to the bonus room. And we moved it. Every year it's been back in the corner, and it gets much bigger back there. Just moving it those few feet has changed it. And this is not a knockout rose. I wish it was blooming. It's very, very fragrant, and it has pale yellow, old-fashioned roses on it. You can see that it's going to shortly.
And I notice as we walk up here, you've got a massive arbor with roses growing on it. And what kind of roses are these? New Dawn?
Yes.
And you had the arbor special made for this?
I did.
That was smart, because I know I grow New Dawns at home, and how heavy they become, especially when they have the flowers on them. But they're just, the winding and the twining of it is
It's unbelievable, because it hasn't been there more than 3 years. I don't even think it's been a full 3 years.
Is it 2 bushes?
Yes, one here and one there. And look how prolific they are. I mean, if you look up in there, it's just a network. I don't think a tornado could take it down. And
you've did beautiful things with flower pots as well, I might add. We're seeing colors with our annuals in the pots as well as in the ground.
Yes, for some reason I do have a hard time potting flowers, because I want them to have the freedom of just growing. But it adds to the garden.
Your arbor looks magnificent from both sides. I want to check out what's inside this patio area.
Come in. It's been so hot this summer, we've not been able to enjoy it so much.
Tell me about your macho ferns.
Well, they were even more macho 2 days ago. I had to cut them back because they just take over everything.
And then what's over here in this big pot? This is what I'm really interested in.
Well, this, you have my article from Southern Living, and I was absolutely delighted with this. I thought, okay, I'm going to start a big flower bed with these in the back.
And it's called an amicrinum?
Yes, that's close enough. I'm glad you can pronounce it.
Barely.
And it's absolutely gorgeous. When I got it, there were 2 blooms on it, and they are beautiful. And in the South, in North Carolina and South Carolina, they grow outside. And there is a farm there that has just hundreds and hundreds of them in different colors. And the bulbs, I think, are very expensive. They're $29 to $40. But one of the things that's happening, as you can see, I have new shoots coming off, 4 or 5 of them. And what I had hoped to do was make a big flower bed and buy 5 of these and divide them and create a bed, because wouldn't my neighbors have a ball with those?
They would.
But it suggests, if you don't live within the right zone, that you pot it, and in the spring we'll separate it, and I'll probably have to pot the new ones. But I'm going to winter it in the garage.
Well, I'd be anxious to see how it does for you because I think it's a very interesting and really breathtakingly beautiful. And I notice we're coming upon your shade garden. How old is this garden?
It's not 3 years old, and I've never had one before, and I absolutely love it. It's a challenge because you grow different plants, and the moisture has to be kept up in it.
And I just want to say thank you very much. It's been so enjoyable, and I hope you continue to garden for many years and that you have no grass left when you're done.
Thank you. Thank you for coming. I'm always glad to share my garden.